Hey guys, welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. Get ready for greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. I am Richard Cuff, president of CTI Marketing, founder of Nasimba Business Alliance, and master greatness coach here at GetReadyForGreatness.com. So as we I'll give it a couple more, couple seconds more here. Individuals are joining us both here at YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Um, Welcome you to the Lunch and Learn workshop. This is day 11 of the Lunch and Learn workshops, and I am going to um, jump right in. Well, first of all, let me give you a little bit of background. If you guys have not had a chance to um, follow me so far, if this is your first time tuning in, um, please log on to getreadyforgreatness.com and create your free coaching profile. The community is growing every day. My commitment is to be here for lunch. This is a late lunch for us here on the West Coast. I'm here on the East Coast, but it's an early lunch on the West Coast. So we've got people joining us all over the country and throughout the world, even because thank you, Internet. But this coronavirus shutdown has caused everybody to go and find a different way to operate. And doing these live and virtual sessions is the easiest thing to do for right now. Um, my business model for these lunch and learn workshops was actually to have lunch and learn. So it wasn't just supposed to be over the internet, but it allows me to continue the process and also to just sort of relax and breathe through each of these days that I commit to coming here. This is, as I mentioned, this is day 11 of our 21 days to greatness workshop, and the process of going through this for me is I guess I can say relaxing. Um, it allows me to step outside of my comfort zone. A couple days ago, I think it was day 10, maybe, well, no, day eight or nine, somewhere in there. But if you go to richardcuff.com, you'll be able to see all of the videos because that'll take you over to my YouTube page. And please, by the way, when you get over there to the YouTube page for the Get Ready for Greatness YouTube, please subscribe to the page, um, like the videos, ring that bell because that will give you the alerts to let you know whenever I post a new video and whenever I am doing live. So this is the live video right now. And then later on, you can come back and you'll see the recording of this session. So again, go to getreadyforgreatness.com, create your free coaching profile. There you will also be able to try out my coaching program, Get Ready for Greatness, the PS Factor 21 Days to Greatness. You'll get the One Vision reward card. You'll get the book, The Greatness Zone by Jay Forte, and also you'll get my workbook that will help you to follow along over these next 21 days. The workbook does that particular workbook has no page numbers, um, and the no table of contents in a sense that will direct you to the pages. The idea is that you just pull out the sections, and whatever section we happen to be working on, that section you'll have in front of you. But it's designed for you to create it and put the book together the way that you want it to go. And we're redesigning some of the graphics. Honestly, I'm not too happy with it. It was really the first pass from one of the graphic designers that I use. And if you guys haven't discovered the platforms that allow you to find these different um, contractors, by all means, get out there and discover it, because there's a lot of there are a lot of platforms that work with independent contractors that will give you the opportunity. They'll design your logos and graphics and things like that. So I love using those because Fiverr is one of my favorites. It allows me to just sort of see what work can be done. Now I am in the process of building out my own marketing team. Um, of course, the shutdown sort of put that on hold for a little bit, but that also is in the process. So that's pretty much all the information that I want to give you. But if you can remember those three websites: Get Ready for Greatness, richardcuff.com to get to the YouTube page, and the psfactor.com. That's the podcast. Um, you'll be able to stay in contact and up to speed on everything that we're doing. Now we're building a really good program for our independent contractors and our network of businesses. And so someone shared a video with me this morning. It was a really a nice animated video that was really talking about how we as a Black community were not networked or working together and not concentrating our power. But it's really not so much about the Blackness right now. It's everybody's being bunched into two categories: either extremely wealthy or extremely poor. And those that don't fit are being shoved into those areas. So if you're rich and you're not extremely rich, um, you're being forced to think like you are at the very least. So you got to get in, fall in line with everybody else, right? And get to the point to where you are rubber stamping everything for the wealthy. Yes, but you guys know the wealthy have been saying this for years, and that the pitchforks are coming. And after a while, it's gonna be revolution. And revolution, there are those that are saying revolution from a fighting standpoint. I personally don't believe that it's going to get ugly. I think it's going to get painful. And I think a lot of people are going to come to the reality that they put their bet on the wrong horse. And then they're going to be staring at people standing in lines, whether social distancing or whatever, but people that don't look like yourself, because now in that pool at the very bottom, that's a great mixture of everybody. But for the last 40 years, well, now 50 years, we have been allowing this nation to just slowly go toward the uber rich. And there are 621 billionaires and 43,000 and so millionaires, and less than 45,000 people are controlling the destiny of 3.5 million people. I mean, 300 million people, I should say. 45,000 people controlling the destiny of 300 million people. That's some craziness. And the revelation of that craziness is not going to be um, what people think. It's not going to be fighting. It's not going to be hatred. It's going to be a lot of pain, but there's going to be a great opportunity for coaches, advisors, consultants, people with information to begin to share what you know, to start working your community. So we're going to start small and build. So I guys, let's just jump right in and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you here for this particular Lunch and Learn workshop. And thank you all so much for uh, following me, for just becoming part of the community. For those of you who have taken advantage of the $49 and are now realizing that there's an opportunity for you to build your income, I'm not. I don't want to use these workshops, this particular workshop, to talk about any of the financial side of it, but I'll sort of give you the nuts and bolts and show you the logic in the system. But yes, there is an opportunity for you to increase your revenue, for you to see wealth coming in I know that I am experiencing it myself personally, that while everybody is waiting for the government to send them that check, I'm paying taxes, y'all. I've got to make certain that I pay my quarterly taxes and that I stay ahead so that I don't get in trouble for not paying my fair share. And as someone once said, you know the best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. And if you understand that, it's not anything against people who are poor, who suddenly found themselves poor, but we can't add to that burden by being among those who are looking for a handout. So my goal is to reach those who, and by the way, this would be a good time for me to tell you who this lunch and learn session is not designed for. It's not designed for that person who wants to get rich quick. It's not designed for that person who has suddenly found themselves in pain and now you're looking for an answer. There are no quick answers here. I'm not here to help you to make a short-term decision, or I should say a long-term decision based on short-term circumstances. That's not what this is about. What this is about is helping you through those stages of changing your mindset, seeing that this is a great opportunity for you to evaluate that who that person is in the mirror. Michael Jackson, I'm looking at that man in the mirror. So that man, that woman in the mirror, that's who this is for. And so if you're ready to address that, then let's go forward. I'm going to share with you in the first part of the workshop. Well, actually, the Lunch and Learn workshop is dealing and going to focus on the nuts and bolts of business. Basically, this originally was called Understanding the Basics of Business Ownership. So I've taken some of the components from the Understanding the Basics of Business Ownership and positioned it to help lead us into the second part of this Lunch and Learn. And that's where we focus on the mindset spiritual side. So one side is physical, the other side is spiritual. Entrepreneurship, however, is a spirit, but it's a spirit that operates in the context of a business. So entrepreneurship allows your spirit to go into a business and bring that business to life. The same way the Holy Spirit comes into you through your spirit and brings this and animates this flesh. If it was not for consciousness and the spirit inside of you, you'd just be a piece of meat waiting for the maggots to come and eat apart. Sorry, but that's what it is. Guys, let's go ahead and get started. This is the Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. We're at day 11. I'm Richard Cuff, president of CTI Marketing, founder of Nasimba Business Alliance, master greatness coach at getreadyforgreatness.com, and unleashing Concentel Mobile. We pushed the date back from the last Saturday in March, which would have been our unveiling of Concentel Mobile. We've moved it forward now to October 5th. That'll give us an opportunity to put things back together again, or wait for this country to get back on track. But where right now, there's, I thought I was starting Concentel Mobile to encourage people to look at the possibility of leaving your job and starting your own business. I had no idea that coronavirus would come along and push the majority of the workforce into that category, because you're either going to find yourself standing in a soup line, and it's unfortunate, but there are now some dire predictions of what the next 6 months to 18 months are going to look like. And if we don't get some new leadership, we can say that the next 3 years are going to look like the last 3 years. So you got a choice. You can tough it out for 18 months under a new direction and going in doing something that we've not tried before, or you can just go and copy the last 3 years and make the next 3 years just like the last 3 years, or the next 30 years just like the last 30 years. Well, listen, I am not going back to what my ancestors and the gods that they served and that stuff that they thought, that's not for me. And I certainly am not going to bow down before the all and powerful wizards up there at the top. That's not for me either. As for me and my house, we're going to focus on the future, and we're going to look for the greatness that is yet to come. And so, therefore, this whole thing is wrapped up in get ready for greatness. So, just thought I'd share that with you guys. By the way, I got a shout out to my Zen tea right here, baby. This is some great stuff. So, um, let's talk about today's get into today's lunch and learn workshop. I want to talk about this today. I want to go back and emphasize the 7-stage consultation process. Guys, you can use this in your business. If you have a business, especially consulting, coaching, advising, any of those, this 7-stage consultation process is fire, man. It's exactly what you will need to take your business and take your client through this awesome process. Now, I will tell you that, and I'll show you where it really comes into place. But you want to also begin with a 7-point checklist. And in my coaching and my workshops, I go into more details on how to make that 7-point checklist work. So if you want to get the coaching on that or get on track for that, please go to getreadyforgreatness.com and just sign up for the $49 coaching, and I'll go into more detail. But the 7-stage consultation process begins with visualization. When you and the client can sit down and ideally put 100 things on paper, you're mapping out a really clear vision. Most people who have a desire for business or want to start a business, if whenever I do this visualization process, in fact, there are some who actually do what they call vision board parties or vision board sessions. They make their whole coaching around just the visualization process. And believe me, if you find that your gift is in helping people pull out their vision, then you don't need to go any further than this one stage. Your entire coaching process, your entire consulting, your entire business can be simply around helping people with their vision. The Bible says, write down the vision, make it plain, so those that read it may run. Who's going to read it and who's going to run? Your team members, your customers, your clients, your consumers, your investors, supporters, all those people. Everybody should read this vision and see it clearly. So that's the importance of the visualization stage. The next stage that you're going to go into is the consultation stage. From the consultation stage, I actually apply the 80-20 rule. So if we wrote 100 things down in stage one, recognizing that 80% of those are going to only bring 20% of the success, let's identify the 20 things that are going to bring 80% of the success and move those into the consultation stage. Then from consultation, we go into planning. What are we going to plan? We're going to plan the things that we talked about in the consultation stage. So if you've got 20 things in the consultation stage, 80-20 rule applies again. You're only going to bring down 4 to the planning stage. Now you've got 4 things that you're planning. And when you get to the implementation, you whittle it down to just 1. So that's what we call our incubation funnel. We start out, we're incubating this idea. It's in the creative phase. So in the creative phase, we're going to bring it all the way down to this implementation stage. And I'll show you a little bit later on how it becomes what we call our virtual incubator or VIP program. But it goes from creation in this first phase to now you are turning it into incubation. Now at the incubation stage, from implementation, you go into control. And here's where I have to tell you, control is a myth. It's something you think you have until the moment you lose it. So there are, unfortunately, a lot of people have experienced this, the loss of a child in incubation, meaning the the woman, the wife, your spouse, your girlfriend, she's pregnant. And then comes that horrible news that she lost the baby, oftentimes even before she started the show. That's in that control phase, something went wrong. Well, we don't have control. We think we have control. The best we can do is eat right, exercise, not stress ourselves out, but we can't stop life from happening. It happens. So rather than being trying to gain control, let's change that to a mindset of preparation. The way we do that is understand control is a myth, balance is a myth. That desire for you to return to your comfort zone, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to catch your breath. Come on, but you can't. And so if you came into it prepared, you would already have that oxygen mask ready to drop down. You would have already had all the medications that you need. You would have already had the money in the bank. You'd have already been preparing for this. It's not like we did as it relates to this economic situation right now. It's not like we did not have from 2008 until 2000, the year 2000, and 12 years. Like we were given 12 years to prepare for this day. And yet there are so many people right now who don't have $500 to get them through the end of the month. Their $500 is all that they would need to stay in the game, and they don't have it. Well, that's what this whole process here is about. Is now we finally get to the point to where we recognize that now would be a really good time to prepare for the next 12 years and the next thing that's coming on the horizon. This would be a really good time to prepare. But what about this time? When should we have prepared? We should have prepared back in this maybe visualization stage. Here's the problem with preparing for a calamity in the visualization stage. It turns into negative. But if you can come down to this phase here, implementation and control, knowing that preparation, what do you prepare for? You prepare for the things that you have on your list. Well, when did you create that list? You created that list all the way up here in visualization. You see that list that I talked about, those 7 things that you put on that list, the 7 things that you want to see happen most. The way that it works for me when I consult a client, the first 2 things on the list is I say, this is what any other consultant will provide for you. You can get this from any consultant. Most people want to start off by saying, well, I don't do what everybody else does. I'm different. No, you can't do that. If you're tapping into a market of consumers who do what? Who consume. Chances are your customer is already consuming your product from somewhere. If you are looking to start a hair care business, chances are your customer is already getting their hair cared for through something. Now therefore they are consumers. Now you have to convert those consumers to your customers. So what I do when I am working on converting a consumer, someone who could possibly consume my product, when I'm converting them to a customer, I have to show them that my product is just like what you're accustomed to. So those first 2 things on the list should be proof that your business is just like everybody else's. So you're a barber, you're not going to say, as a barber, you're going to say, I use clippers and I'm licensed just like everybody else. I have the best clippers and I'm licensed. So every barber's got that. Absolutely. You're not going to say, man, I do it different. I use a lawnmower. Really? No, you better use what everybody else is using in those first 2. So my client will see those first 2 things on the list look just like everybody else. The next 2 things on the list are going to be those things that I specifically do. Now you will not find this anywhere else. These are the two things that I do and only I can do and only I can bring. Only I can bring 40 years worth of experience to the table. Only I can bring the Get Ready for Greatness program to the table. You're not going to find Get Ready for Greatness anywhere else. You'll find those hashtags around. People have been using that, but you go back. I've been Get Ready for Greatness since the late 80s, mid 80s, really. But that's what you're only going to find that with me. So those are the four things. And then the next three things on the list are two things that the customer wants that's similar to what their other clients have. Well, I want to increase my customers just like the other businesses. And I want to raise my prices just like everybody else. Those are the two things. Now, what is the one thing, Mr. Customer, that you want and only you want? And that then drills down to get them to share with you um, the one thing that would make this whole relationship work, because that then becomes the goal. It usually is a problem that they face, a desire that they have, but it's where you put your focus. And now all of those other six things on the list fall in line right where they're supposed to be. You take that list and go through visualization. You go through the consultation. How do I know if we're planning for the right things? Take that list and go down that list. How do I know what to implement? We're going to implement what's on the list. When I get to the control phase, how do I know how to prepare what could go wrong, what could go out of whack, from where we could lose control in the area of the things that are on the list. So after we get through preparation, now we go through completion. How do I know when I've completed this process? Pull out the list and check off the list. Now, after all is said and done, Mr. Customer, client, will you evaluate this process and tell me, what do you think of the job that I did? Or how do I do a self evaluation? I pull out the list. You see, that list hasn't changed from visualization all the way down to evaluation. It's the same list. You keep your eye on that, you are going to be successful. Now, again, as I've mentioned before, I usually am able to offer this process to my clients at $30,000 a year for a 3-year contract. As I got older and I started finding less of a desire to jump into someone else's fire. Now, when I was doing this, I was jumping in and cleaning up messes like crazy. And by the time I finished, I was the one that was not necessarily liked. But you think I cared? No, because I knew that going into this situation, that the business owner and I were going to play good cop, bad cop. The business owner had an opportunity to go into the good cop mode and feel good about coming into the office. And all of those problems that were in the office are now targeted toward me. I'm the bad cop. I'm the one that's got to say, listen, you need to be here earlier so that you can get set up and ready to go. Your department is lacking in this area. You have a problem over here. And if you don't get this problem straightened up, this is going to be the end result. My recommendation to your boss will be this. That's a tough pill to swallow. And that'll make you not the most liked person. Well, I decided to kind of separate that level of consulting from the coaching part. Coaching is far different than consulting and advising, and certainly a far cry away from being a therapist. But the idea about coaching is just basically I've got to cheer you on through the process. So let's talk about that real quick, and I'm going to yeah, I've got a couple more minutes in this particular section. Then we're going to go into the 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 s- the mental, emotional, spiritual side. So let's talk about your business as you're the business owner, and this is where the PS factor comes in. When you're the business owner, you are providing the product or the service. But here's the challenge. This is what I call the PS factor. The PS factor is your level of conscious awareness of your natural God-given ability to attract a successful outcome in any given situation. So as the business owner, you position yourself in your business. You are the chief bottle washer. You're the head. You're the one that is everybody's looking to. You carry this vision. But what happens is if you're taking it through four different levels within yourself, when you're either operating your business purely physical, or you're conscious of the physical and the mental, and you understand the mental pressures that this business is putting you through. But a lot of people, they're all thought, but their thoughts are twisted, and they're always blaming someone, or they're never taking responsibility. One of the greatest bits of advice I got as a business owner and a manager was, when you're in that position of management, you should always try to catch your employees, your team doing something right. And as the leader, this should be the model that you have, is to give credit where credit is due, but take the blame when it falls on you. Give credit where credit is due, but take the blame when it falls on you. For whatever reason, there are people who believe that if I admit it, that that this particular thing was wrong, and I take full responsibility for it, that means somehow I'm showing weakness, or maybe opening myself up for liability. So my attorneys will tell me, never admit guilt. Never say that you admit being wrong. Never do that. Why? Because you open yourself up to liability. So, will you take responsibility for this? No, I don't take responsibility. Sue me. Okay, let's go to court. And of course, who has the money to do that, right? So, but give credit where credit is due, take the blame when it falls on you. That says you have this mindset that you can share the burden, but also share the joy. I should say, you can shoulder the burden, but share the joy. Shoulder the burden, share the joy. Now, the problem with that is it can really tear at you emotionally. So you have to realize, when you get up to that PS3, that things are hitting on you emotionally, and then at the highest level, on the spiritual level. But here's what happens. This is when you can, when your challenges with your business take you to the spiritual level, man, you want to go, let me just chill on that one, right? Because if you ever get squeezed so hard, and I'm going to talk to you about that in the next section. When you get squeezed so hard that it takes you to your spiritual self, man, you're so far removed from the physical, the mental, and the emotional. You realize that only God could have brought you to this place, peace, and in the midst of all of your challenges. And then somehow, a phone call, a check in the mail, a customer shows up, or someone calls you from out of the blue and says, "Hey, I was thinking about you, your company. I remember few months ago, maybe a year or so ago, you made this presentation, and I was wondering if you can help me." Man, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten those calls at exactly the moment I needed to get that call to keep me in the game. Otherwise, I would not be sitting here right now having this conversation with you. I would have long since thrown in the towel, given up, caved in, quit. Were it not for the fact that I know that as I was being squeezed on the physical level, it was taking me to the mental. And when I was being squeezed in my mental level to my thoughts, I was questioning my sanity. It took me to the next level, emotional. I came to understand this, that an emotion is simply an extremely fast subconscious evaluation. And once I started slowing those emotions down, I started realizing that my emotions just sort of fell into one or two categories: fight or flight, run or stay, stand or lay down. It's those two different emotions that you have the choice that you can feel, joy or sadness. But once you choose, the reality becomes that. And when you choose that reality based on that pathway, then everything that opens up after that thought is the things that come. So thoughts become things. So the Bible says, what is it, Philippians 4 and 6? Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, good report. Whatever, you know that verse. If there be any virtue, if there, and the word there is italicized, if there in those things, those thoughts, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Why? Because these thought things become things. Yes. And now, in that quiet moment, you're totally separate away from your physical sensations. And remember, when you hear the word feeling, don't think feelings like I can feel you touch me. That's I can sense that you're touching me. That's a sensation. So sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch are all sensations that are being fed through our senses, through our spinal cord, and all those other things, and they become electrical signals in our brain, and then our brain tries to make sense of it, and it spits out what it computes it to be. This person loves me. This person doesn't like me. This person hates me. This person is with me. This person is against me. All of those are external interpretations. But when you separate yourself from that and move up to that spiritual level, all of those things beneath you drop. And now you can breathe. So when you're applying that to your business, how does that look? Well, the Pareto principle comes in. 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of your focus is going to be on the product or service, but only 20% of your focus is going to be over here on marketing, accounting, and customer service. So if you apply the Pareto principle, because 80% is on the product or service, the product or service accounts for only 20% of your success. Yeah. So why are you so successful? It's not because you got this great product. I mean, grandma has been baking cookies for 40 years. She starts a business and a year later she's out of business. Why? Because grandma suddenly forgot how to bake cookies? No, because the product itself is rarely the reason for the majority of the success. There's a whole lot going on behind the scenes, things that we don't see underneath the surface. Marketing, accounting, and customer service are those things. So therefore, because marketing, accounting, and customer service account for only 20% of your focus, it's actually 80% of the reason for your success or failure. So what's the solution then that the entrepreneurs that most entrepreneurs choose? They hire a staff to provide the administrative support. But here's the problem with that, and we're seeing it right now. Staff to provide administrative support are non-essentials. They're not out doing the work. They're not out cutting the grass, clipping the hair, uh, washing the dogs. Whatever that business is that you are doing, that when it boils down to just you and the faithful few, it's not going to be a marketing, accounting, or customer service person. Those people are going to be the first ones to get fired. You might keep your sales manager and you might keep him on commission. Listen, if you kill it, you can eat it. If you bring it in, we'll split it. But I can't pay you because you're not essential. Unfortunately, millions of Americans have found that they're non-essential workers as it relates to these small businesses that the federal government describes as small businesses that make $500 million a year or less. How could that be small? But yep, it's small. So what I'm talking about is micro business, these, and not micromanage from the standpoint of a negative sense, but have your business manageable in a micro level so that you can eliminate these costs. This $3,000 that you pay for someone to manage you do your accounting and bookkeeping and then your customer service, you're looking at probably 73, 74, maybe even $80,000 a year that you are paying and you have yet to make your first dime. So once you go through that process and recognize that you probably are going to spend quite a bit of money, then if that's $6,100 a month, if you people seek then the advice of consultants, advisors. That's when they realize that, wait a minute, if I came in like with our business incubator, we use just using our system as an example, because we provide a virtual office solution that allows the entrepreneur to focus on what they went into business to do while we take care of the marketing, accounting, and customer service. If we can just cut that cost in half, it's an expense of around of $1,000. We save the business owner over $36,000 annually. So that those dollars that are saved, I'll show you in the in a second how using our entrepreneurial angel member entrepreneurial coaching at a $1,600 level, you're paying maybe $2,200 for monthly support. Bottom line is you're paying less than $4,000 to manage your business, and you've not added one non-essential employee. That's how this system works. Now, that's what my system does. That's what I've been working on for the last 30 years and what we'll be launching come October 5th. But whether you plug our system in there or not, you must plug in some sort of a system. And you plug in that system, then you can focus on those first three components. Remember what I was talking about in that 7-stage process leading up to implementation? You can now separate everything from implementation on and focus on the visualization, consultation, and planning. So again, you can do this with any system, but I'll show you how ours fits in. In the visualization stage, we're just working with you as a basic member. You're getting ready to go into the incubator phase. You'll see how that works with our Business Alliance membership. The CTI Marketing Virtual Incubator Program. It's great for coaches. It's great for individuals who know they want their business to grow, but they don't want to risk putting a whole lot of money in up front. So this enables you to keep the cost low. You're not even up to the $3,700 a year yet. This um, you know a 6-month program that allows you to test the waters, if you will, and then brings you up in the planning stage to the business incubator. So the incubation funnel process just slowly takes you through everything you need. And we put all of that over under the Simba Business Alliance. And I'll show you where that fits in a little later. But let's talk about one particular major benefit, especially right now. Because we bring our members together, because we use a consolidated effort, because we are combining the wealth of the members, a little bit here, a little bit there, we are able to create that incubator client who comes in with their individual savings. A $25 monthly savings account to save $300 a year. It seems small, but through our what we call our individual development account match, we match it, just say with $200, and you got $500 now that you can put this money through our One Vision reward card. You're able to start your business, create a micro line of credit if you want to use it in that way to secure a credit card, build business credit, or maybe use it to upgrade your membership. Let's say go from a $149 membership, you actually now want to go into the virtual incubator program, or you want to cover some startup costs to get your business off the ground, buy a new lawnmower, pay for personal coaching, or even use it in a network marketing program. Either way it goes, you're set now to be able to venture off into the next level, and that's where you're beginning to incubate. So I'll show you the final stages here. Those prices that I gave you, 149, 49, 149, and 649. You can see how they build, and you see those three companies, Nasimba, CTI Marketing, and Consento. You see that they all three work together within the cultural capital marketplace. And that's where the $49 reward card opens up the door to the cultural capital marketplace. So let's this will be a good opportunity for me to switch over. I'll stop sharing my screen here for just a second. And There we go. So as you can see, there's a lot to think about when you're starting a business, but probably most of the stuff that I just shared, you may not have given thought to it without it being brought to your attention. And that's what's really important when you are thinking about starting a business. Emphasize the word think as opposed to start or business. See, in that think phase is where it begins. Everything begins with a thought. So if you begin now, you can always wait before you start. But if you wait before you start, you'll never begin. So you'll constantly be restarting, rethinking all of that, and in fear or your comfort zone or whatever it is, you'll be continually going through that process, waiting for the right time. And then life comes along and kicks you out of that comfortable job, kicks you out of that position, and now you're about to lose your breath trying to figure out which direction you need to go in. So let's go into the next component, and we're going to talk about the seven steps to overcoming adversity. And today we're on step number 4. If you've been following me in my morning commutes, where we are it's unscripted, y'all. I don't have uh, a plan per se as it relates to the morning commute. And so what I do is I just share what's on my heart. I do have sort of an idea, I guess I can say. I do have some idea about what I want to share, but for the most part, I just have fun on that little walk. And we're up at day 11, and on day 11, because we're in the second module, which is the 7 steps to overcoming adversity, we're on day number 4. But I want to. Yesterday, I talked about step number 3. Uh, Keep your eye on your goal, and so I'm going to do a bit on goal setting before I go into step number 4, and we'll end at number 4. Um, William Shakespeare said, "Some people are born great, some achieve greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them." It doesn't matter how you achieve that greatness or how you come about it. The key is to recognize that there's greatness within you. This course will help you understand the significance of balancing quality relationships with an effective and efficient use of time. And you also learn how to manage physical and spiritual resources in order to reach your goal, achieve greatness. And these are the 3 components. I'm not going to go into the income to overflow mentality yet. We'll get to that, but I'll stop here at the step 4 in the overcoming adversity. But let's talk about setting your ultimate goal. This is, to me, is just a really powerful Bible verse, and you'll find, if hanging out with me enough, you know that I look at the Bible as a point of it's nothing but the truth. It's when you squeeze it. If you could squeeze the Bible and juice would drop out, it would be nothing but the truth. And it's not up for debate. Historians will try to change some of the things around and say, well, maybe it didn't happen. Well, if it didn't happen, then and if it's in the Bible and it didn't happen, then it's in the Bible for a reason. Okay, well, Constantine and the Romans changed some of the Bible, and King James left some stuff out. What made the cut is made the cut. It doesn't change. That book has endured for thousands of years. So it's the truth that I can stand on. And so we've got the truth, we've got the whole truth, and then we've got nothing but the truth. The Bible is at that category of nothing but the truth. The whole truth is what I say is our history books. You can look at the history books and get the whole truth, but it's still left up to interpretation in some ways. And then today we get the truth, but it's hard to get the truth, man, with so many false facts and alternative facts, and everybody's got an opinion. And so it's like, whose truth are we going to believe? Well, we believe the undeniable truth. The undeniable truth that God's universe is unlimited, his love is unlimited, God's wealth is unlimited, and God himself is unlimited. That's the undeniable truth. So, with that undeniable truth in mind, this verse First Thessalonians 4:11 and 12 says, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, to mind your own business. Work with your hands, just as we told you to do, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders and that you won't be dependent on anybody. So, how does that shape up? It shapes up to this, that your ultimate goal should be your ultimate, highest goal should be to win the respect of outsiders and to be self sufficient. So, if you were a community of 1,000 people, you should want to win the respect of outsiders. Um, is it Can you stop outsiders from wanting to come in and burn down your community? No. Is this going to change the heart of a person that's full of hate, a mind that's full of lies? No, it's not. And that's the tough part for, as far as I'm concerned, is that you can build this wonderful community where you win the respect of outsiders, and then along comes somebody who doesn't have respect even for themselves enough to tell the truth, and they'll be willing to burn down your entire city. And then we can start getting into whether or not you want to put up guards around it and all that other stuff. But let me just say this: your ultimate goal should be to win the respect of outsiders and be self-sufficient. And so if it is the case that you going out and asking for help puts you in a compromising position, then you definitely want to be self-sufficient. Use these three benchmarks to help you reach your ultimate goal. What? To be self-sufficient, to be dependent on nobody. It makes it clear. Three things: lead a quiet life, mind your own business, work with your hands. And when I'm telling you, it may seem like you're not getting any progress because you're doing this, you got this one little business, and that's all you've been doing on your little corner in your community. And and now you're deemed non-essential, or the best you can do is go to get a SBA loan, and they tell you you qualify for $1,000. $1,000 to run a business? Well, if you do what you're supposed to do with that money, that could set you off in the right way, especially when 1,000 businesses network that $1,000. That's $1 million. Now, what do you guys do with that $1 million? Buy a mall, get one of these hotels that's certainly going to be left abandoned. Go buy a business, a factory, a warehouse, or what do you do with that? That's 1,000 people with $1,000. See, just a moment ago, $1,000 wasn't enough. But thank you, internet. Thank you, virtual meetings. It's easy for us to come together. The question is, will we? So now let me wrap things up with the 7 steps to overcoming adversity, and specifically target step number 4. But we talked about the meaning of character, getting a better understanding of extreme adversity, how to make the best of a bad situation, and ultimately we're going to get to turn your scars into trophies. So, step 1, remember adversity builds character. We talked about this, that character is the description of a person's attributes, traits, abilities, or a combination of those distinguishing features. But I love to say that it's you at your best and your worst in any given situation. You cuss like a sailor uh, because somebody cut you off in traffic, and just a minute ago you were singing your favorite gospel song. Well, guess what? That cussing was up in you all the time. It was just covered up with a whole lot of Jesus, and you just put some gospel music on top of it and tied it up in a nice, neat bow until somebody pissed you off. I love it because it's true, guys. What's in you will come out of you when you get squeezed by adversity. But I'm not talking about adversity like a broken fingernail or a flat tire. I'm talking about this a state of hardship, misfortune, calamitous event. That's adversity, but it's still not extreme adversity. It's extreme adversity when adversity appears suddenly, and then it takes you outside of your comfort zone. So when that adversity appears suddenly and takes you outside of your comfort zone, you kind of gotta an indication that this might be a rough ride. Fasten your seatbelts, look for that oxygen mask, because I'm thinking we about to hit some turbulence here if this next thing shows up where it renders all your current resources useless. Now you're really heading toward that adversity. But it's not truly extreme unless it challenges all 9 traits of OQP. I'll go through these. That's only quality people. You should always strive to be only quality people. Fear God, love the truth, hate covetousness, dependable, loyal, capable, positive mental attitude, willing to go the extra mile, and faith. Those 9 things get squeezed. You find out that maybe your faith isn't as strong as you thought it was, or that you're not as willing to go the extra mile that you as you thought you would. Those are the those 9 things really are. You can pick 3 of them, 2 of them, 2 out of 9. He's dependable and he's loyal. Man, I'd love to have that person as a friend. Now they're not capable. They don't have a positive mental attitude. They're not willing to go the extra mile. They don't have faith, but they are dependable, loyal, and capable. They may be dependable and loyal. So what if they're not capable, right? How many have created relationships, put people in leadership positions simply because they possess 2 out of 9 of these characteristics? But adversity comes to test all 9 of them to show you where you are. So when I say surround yourself with OQP, I'm not saying put people around you who have quality. If you're surrounded by quality people and you don't have quality yourself, you're faking it. And as I said, when you fake it till you make it, when you finally make it, you will still be a fake. Adversity is coming to show you who you are, and know that. Number 2, keep your eye on your goal. Respect yourself. Don't sell your birthright for a meal. Always strive to be self sufficient and scrutinize new relationships. That's going to help you find the courage within. Remember out this. It's it's when it's when you find out you got those thick and thin friends. Adversity shows up, and right here is where you find out that when things get thick, they get thin. They thin out. So you'll find out you have those thick and thin friends. They're not there to help you through this. The cavalry ain't coming. So because you know the cavalry's not gonna come in, then keep your eye on your goal. What motivated you in the very beginning? What steps do you have to take to get back on track? What's needed to complete the journey? You have a plan of action. Is it necessary for you to go alone? And are your advisors, the people that are in your ear, are they OQP? Do they possess those qualities that are going to be tested? Because when everything gets heated up, everybody around you gets tested, you're going to learn a whole bunch about yourself and about the people that are around you during this particular phase. So keep your eye on your goal. Remember, if you went out there to drain the swamp, but now you find yourself up to your butt in alligators, well, it's kind of difficult to remember that draining the swamp was the goal, but you got to put your mind back toward the goal. When your butt is in the lion's mouth, as mama would say, it's if your butt when your butt is in the lion's mouth, it's pretty easy to determine what your priority is. Well, don't let these circumstances, these situations that come up, change you and what you need to be thinking about as it relates to reaching your goal. Do not take your eye off your goal. Keep your eye on your goal. That brings us to step number 4. Cherish the small victories. As you start going through this adversity, this is a great time to keep a journal. My morning commutes, I sometimes, and I probably can do a better job at it, sharing information from my journal, things that I wrote them as motivating moments. I literally have over 620, well, there's 650 or 60 or so, a couple of them are sort of duplicates or reinforce the same thought. But well over 600 unique entries into my journal that I still have, and I go back and I read them. I'm getting back into writing now. Thought that I did not have a lot of time, but I can now. I spend time in the morning and I focus on what I want to do. I have to now get back to a schedule. I'm getting better at it. You know, my schedule was that I do this lunch and learn sessions from 1:30 to 2:30. Got a little bit of a late start, but still I'm getting there. So you guys are watching me evolve during this process as well. And I'm hoping that as you go through these 21 days, you will begin to evolve as well. So I'm up to this point. I cherish these small victories. Keep a journal. Feel good about even your smallest victory. I mean, sometimes just having gone through it is victory enough. You made it through the end of the day. You're pulling up in your driveway. Yes, it was a horrible day. Yes, a whole bunch of things went wrong. Yes, on the other side of that door is probably your spouse going, "Where have you been?" They're not going to ask you, "How are you doing?" All of those things may be the case, but take a breath and take an inventory and find that one little thing that you can say, "Today is the victory." Even the mere fact that I'm able to write down what I'm feeling at this very moment. I'm writing it with tears in my eyes. I'm expressing it. I'm breathing. I've got life is coursing through my veins. What a great thing to feel victorious about. And then realize that, hey, listen, whoever you were that thought you were going to make me feel totally defeated, guess what? I don't feel totally defeated because I got this one thing that I can count as a victory. At the end of your day, especially at night before you go to sleep, replay the successes of the day. Go back and search and try to find those things that you did well and say, go to sleep saying, I want more of that. That's what I want more of tomorrow. I checked my bank account and there was more money in my account today than there was yesterday. I want more of that. I feel good about that. And so, what you're starting to do is separate yourself from that physical stimulus, and you're beginning to trigger that emotional, mental, emotional, spiritual adrenaline energy. Literally, is now coming off of your body and pumping into the spiritual realm. And the spiritual realm is saying, "Oh, I get it. You want more of that. That's what I'm going to send you. That's what I'm going to make certain happen. I get it. I see the picture. The picture is clear because that's what you want. I'm going to send that to you." So also make it a habit of releasing the good and the bad. So when you are cherishing these small victories, you're developing the habit of releasing. I'm going to talk about the 7 habits to greatness in the next module, but you'll see where the habit of releasing comes in. There are people that hold on to good things for far too long. I have a good friend that every time we talk, the first thing he's going to bring up is what we did back in high school. Man, we've been out of high school for 50 years, but he's going to bring it up. He's going to say, "Well, do you remember when? Do you remember when?" And well, not 50 years. How long has it been since 40 years, 43 years? Okay, 43 years. That was 43 years ago, dude. But he's still holding on to it because it was a good feeling. And it certainly was one worth remembering, but is it one worth holding on to? Especially if it means that you can't grab onto the next one and the next one and the next one. Let that go. Relax. Listen to some nice, quiet, relaxing music as you cherish the small victories, as you keep that journal, as you replay the successes and release the good and the bad, and you drift off into that sleep, that moment of sleep, and you wake up the next morning knowing that when you're ready to hit the floor and and live the greatest day of your life. That's what this is all about. Guys, that's how we're going to overcome the adversity that we're faced with right now. That's how we're going to deal with the challenges that are in this world. Hey, I really appreciate you for hanging out with me through this session. Please leave your comments below if there's anything that you can add to what I've shared. If there's someone that you feel like needs to hear something in this, tag them, tell them, listen right there, and 36 minutes and 43 seconds. Listen, at that very moment, whatever it is, you may find something that you can share, something that you can point a friend to. Uh, you need to be the one that becomes the beacon in your community, the beacon in your family, the one that can show people that the way out of this darkness that is going to get darker. It's going to get darker, guys. But here's what I want you to think about. If we were walking into a forest, and let's just say the forest is big, round forest, and you started walking in from the outside and you walk in. The question, how far can you walk into the forest before you start coming out? Well, the answer is only halfway in, because the moment you reach the halfway point, you begin to walk out. So you've just simply walked the radius of the circle. The radius of the circle is from the middle of the circle out to the outside edge, and then you can draw all the way around. Now, the diameter of the circle is all the way across. So the radius is going to be half of the diameter. You remember that in school, right? And then the circumference is all the way around the circle. So there are people who are walking the circumference, and it's a long way around. There are people who walk the diameter, and that's long all the way across. There are people who walk the radius and they go halfway in, but they find that they make that their comfort zone because they know they got to walk the other half out. So they become halfway and they just stay there and they get locked in there. So if the if the what's the easiest way out, or the what's how far do you have to travel to get out? The exact distance that you traveled to get in. Sorry to put it that way, but we've been 20, 40 years into getting into this mess that we're in with our economic system, with our disparities between rich and poor. And now that we are clear that it's no longer about race, maybe it was race, maybe before those stimulus checks started happening, you could probably think, oh, they're gonna screw black people over. And now everybody was going like, wait a minute, I'm not black. Hold on, I'm not black. It never was about you being black. Never was about you not being black. Yeah, there's only two categories now: extremely rich and wealthy, or extremely poor and needy. And the question is, which one do you want to be? Now, I have tried rich and I've tried poor. I like rich a whole lot better. That's Pearl Bailey said that, and some there are some other people that is attributed to as well. But listen, I have been there, and I walked away from it. I literally walked away from millionaire status because I felt I was going crazy. I was going to lose my mind. I sold my company. You can pull up the article. In fact, I may put a link at the bottom of this just so that I can share it with you. And this is my cherishing my small victory. Is that I said, God, if you just get me out of this with my sanity, I'll walk away from everything. And I was able to walk away from the huge house, restaurant, and all those things because my economy collapsed back in 2000. So 20 years ago, what everybody else is going through and all these restaurant owners are going through, I went through that 20 years ago. And I'm sitting back now going, whew, was it like that the way it is now? Yes, it was. That's what I was going through back then. And so I've sort of developed an immunity for it. But a few short months after I walked away holding on to the company that I knew was worth $7.3 billion. Dollars. I knew it was. I knew that it was going to get to that point. But I had also said, God, I'd walk away from everything if you get me out with my sanity. And then came the test. Out of the blue, I meet someone, and next thing you know, we're talking. And before long, we're talking about selling my company. And I sold what was a $7.3 billion vision. I sold it for 25 to 250, 250 million. To put that into perspective, that's like giving up $7,300 for $25. That's what I did. But I had already said, God, I'll walk away from everything. Little did I know that within 6 months, that whole deal would unravel. and the entire company would come back to me. And I've had it ever since. And will never have to let it go because God has brought me through the toughest time of my life was from 1988 to 2003. So a good 15-year period. And it was tough for me, but it changed the way that I think it created all of this that I'm teaching right now. This stuff didn't come from some book or somebody's course that I went through and then I copy their workbook and put my name on it. That's not what I'm doing here. And I'm certain that a lot of things that I'm teaching, there are others who are teaching it now and not even realizing that they got it from somebody who got it from somebody who got it from here. That's okay. When you're planting seeds like that, you never know where they're going to grow. Um, I posted something that Fred Hammond said in one of his songs. We're pulling up flowers to make room for weeds. You need to stop doing that. Let's stop that, guys. Let's continue to get ready for greatness. Let's make room for greatness. And let's begin to plant some good things in our lives, knowing that good things are going to grow. The cavalry ain't coming. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be easy. I'm not. You probably like, I'll watch this whole video for you to get to the end and tell me that the cavalry ain't coming. What kind of motivator are you? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you, but I hope that you find some encouragement in this as you begin to look at yourself. Remember those the things that we've covered so far. Go back over the other 11 days if you need to, make some notes. Please go to getreadyforgreatness.com, set up your free coaching profile, take advantage of the $49 21 days, PS Factor 21 days to coaching that we offer. Log on to richardcuff.com for all the videos that I've done up to this point. I'm continuing to add those videos. And then uh, um, follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Richard Cuff, Instagram at Cuff the Comedian, and also log on to thepsfactor.com and support the podcast because I'm retooling that and should be ready to unveil the new version. I keep saying next week, but something always happens, changes. It just says I will not release a podcast before it's time. So guys, till tomorrow as we get ready for day 12 and probably one of the number 5, which is I think is one of my most fun components in these 3 modules, is know that it's okay to quit and run as you pray and fight. Les Brown said, if life knocks you down, try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Well, I'm telling you this. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what you need to do to get up. Till then, take care.